Hey, hello. I'm riding again my Riese Müller Delite mountain with the Rohloff and the gates and the 625 watt-hour battery. Today I want to do two things. Is to do a range test in tour mode, and the second thing is to go on a deep dive on the Rohloff and talk about the advantages and disadvantages that I have observed. I've already accumulated 140 kilometers on this bike, and I must say that it's a great bike. However, you have to learn a new skill, which is to shift using the Rohloff. So first thing that I want to show you is the system itself, how compact it is, and so that when I hop on the bike and ride, you have an idea what I've showed you and what I'm talking about. So let's start here. Here is the electronic shifter. This is the box that receives the electricity via this cable from the electronic shifter on the handlebar. As you can see, it's quite compact. And this box is powered from the battery. So if you run out of battery, you will not be able to shift. Whatever last gear you had engaged on the Rohloff, you will have to ride with it for the rest of your ride if you need to go back home, for instance. If you're doing a roadside repair, on the other side there's a lever that you need to open and then twist, and then this axle bolt will go through, and before you drop the wheel you will need to disconnect this cable. And here is a kind of pin connector, so you can disconnect it easily, but then there's 2 hours that need to match precisely if you connect it, because if you are mismatched you might bend the pins inside. So quite tricky if you're doing a roadside repair. The compactness of it is great because it's protected from impacts from every direction. There's around it this disc and the frame, and it's not hanging low, so very good, a great device. Inside of the Rohloff is where the gears are housed. This is a metal case. It is quite heavy. It increases the weight of the rear of your bike quite significantly, and it's what is called unsprung weight. So whenever there's an impact on the wheel, it will move with the wheel, and it will initially have some inertia, so it will resist moving out of the way, but then once it gets going it will continue and press the suspension in a different way than you would have with a lighter system. So this here is the Gates carbon belt. If you want to detach the wheel, you need to pull this lever and screw out, but you have to be careful not to bend the carbon belt, and also you need to relieve the tension. You see there's some tension on it, and this tension is provided via this wheel here, and the wheel is spring loaded. Maybe you can see the spring right there. It's attached to the suspension, so whenever the suspension moves, the spring keeps this under load and keeps the belt tensioned. So first thing you need to do if you do a roadside repair, let's say you want to replace the tube, then you have to somehow relieve the pressure on this device here via the spring. Maybe you need some tweezers, I don't know. And then the other thing you need to be careful about is that here below is a wheel that the intention of that wheel is to maintain the gates attached to the cogs, and that it does not fly off. So you would have also to put this in another position and then remove the whole thing, also paying attention that you are detaching the electrical cable on the other side, as I've mentioned before. So in here you have 14 gears. This is a system that is built onto your wheel, so you can see that the spokes are attached directly to the Rohloff. If you would need to replace it, first of all, it's very expensive, and then you would have to replace your whole wheel, or have someone rebuild a new wheel around a new Rohloff, or this wheel back onto a new Rohloff. So it's quite more expensive to repair it. The idea of this system is like in a car, that you will have a gearbox that will last the lifetime of your bicycle, and that you would not have to remove it to send it to repair or to replace with another one. So it's quite expensive, and it will cause a downtime on the usage of your bike, because no shop has a Rohloff in stock ready to replace, because it's quite expensive. And so they will dismount the wheel, or maybe even send the whole bike in case you have a problem with the electronic shifter. They can't find the source of the problem. They will have to send the whole bike to Riese and Müller for repair. And the idea, or the significance of what I'm saying, is that unlike a cassette derailleur and chain system, you want this to last a lifetime. If you ride 5,000 kilometers with your bike in 3 years, or if you ride 10 or 15, you want to make sure that this will last. And because it's built in this position, it is subject to a lot of vibration impacts, and so in the long term I'm curious to see how this will evolve. One of the things that I want to talk about right now before I hop on the bike is the automatic downshifting. I've had issues on my previous rides that whenever I have a difficult portion of terrain like mud and I stall, I try to climb and I stall, and I try to reapply pressure to restart again. One foot is off the pedal, the other foot is trying to push on the pedal. Well, the bike at that moment detects that I'm stopped, and it will downshift automatically on you. This is a feature that they have created to help people when they are city riding, when they stop at the next to, I don't know, a red light, that the bike will downshift on them so they don't have to be pressing. Because you have 14 gears, you are on 10th gear, you have to be pressing 5 times on the button. And to help people, assist people doing that, they have created this automatic shifting. However, that automatic shifting is not adapted to a mountain bike environment because of what I just said. You might stall, you need to recover, and all of a sudden it's shifting down on you while you are applying pressure, and this will put a lot of strain in those gears inside the hub. So I advise you to go in the settings and remove that feature. And the way you go about that is you go on the settings page and you select My e-bike, which is the first option. Then you scroll down to E-shift and you select it, and then it says start gear 5. So you press on it, and then you have an option that appears that's called start gear on, and then you can press and it says start gear off. Now you have disengaged the automatic downshifting of the gears. Just go back and it's up to you to change. You might think, oh, but that's very handy. Well, not really. Because with this system, if you are really stopped and you want to downshift, it's as easy as this. Look, I'm going to press the button, downshifting, and look at the screen at the same time, then listen. See? Beep, 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 beep. And there you go. I'm ready to start. Because there's no chain and cassette and derailleur system, when I now start, the gear is already engaged, instead of having to make the wheel turn a little bit so that the chain engages the correct part of the cassette on a standard system. With this system, you can be stopped, you stalled, okay, you say, all right, and now I need to start, I'm not in the right gear, just press the button, you can shift while standing. It's done for that. There's no issues if you do it, take a second, downshift, and then start again. And I would even tell you, if you stalled and you have a foot on your, just resting on your pedal, well, remove the pressure on that pedal, downshift, because if you leave your foot resting on the pedal, just resting, you're still applying a little bit of strength, and you will see the pedal, as you downshift, the pedal will go boom, 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 boom. And every time the pedal is going down, it means that it's changing from one gear to the other and putting pressure on the next gear. So that's not ideal. All right. So the other things I want to talk about is the shifting using the provided shifter, and if it's adapted or not to mountain biking. So I can do that while rolling. Let's get started. I have 100% on the battery, and I will use exclusively tour mode today. So I will see how many kilometers I can do with this system. The range test is also a test of the transmission system, in the sense that if there is extra drag in the transmission system due to the gates carbon belt tension, or due to the internal resistance of the Rohloff geared hub, that will have an impact on the range. And I know that with my other e-mountain bike, the Cube, it has the same motor, it has the same battery, and I was able to ride about 65 kilometers with one charge. I was a little bit heavier then. Now I weigh 86 kilos with my backpack, let's say 89 kilos, or maybe round it up to 90. The bike itself weighs 27 kilos. All right, good. Okay, so for those who are just interested in the range test, I will try to save some battery on my GoPro camera to talk about it towards the end, so you can skip ahead. And those who want to have my impressions on the Rohloff, just stick around. All right, so when you're shifting, you have 14 gears to cycle through, which is more than the best and biggest cassette, which has only 12. So you have to really shift ahead, because you'll have a few more gears to cycle through. And the system has it's fast, but it has its own time. So if you need to cycle 4 gears, it will take always the same time to cycle those 4 gears. You cannot make it faster. You have to anticipate. So like now, here I am going to climb uphill, and I'm going to shift down. I was in 6th, 7th gear, so now I'm in 3rd gear. Every time you shift, the gear appears on the kiosk momentarily for 1 or 2 seconds, and then it will go away. So first thing you must learn is more important than with a normal system is to shift in advance, because you cannot shift with this geared hub with the roll-off under pressure. Ever, never, because you will break those gears and you will cause permanent damage. So be aware of that. And because you have so many gears, you have to anticipate a little more than with a normal cassette derailleur system. Also, there is a short delay between a gear shifting. You cannot go faster. There is a burst mode, but it still has a delay. The shifting takes, I don't know how many milliseconds, but it's less than a second. However, if you have a normal system, you can push 3 gears with one thumb movement. With this one, you would have to push to have the same range of shifting. You have to push maybe 4 or 5 gears, and then if you can listen to it, I'm going to try to push 5 gears by pushing and holding the electronic shifter. First you will hear chip, then there's a pause, then you'll hear chip chip chip, 3 changes, and then I will do one more to have 5 gear shifting. So listen out. Wait, I'll first, no, somebody's over here. 1, okay, there, I did it. Let me see. Oopla. Allez-y. Okay, so here we go. Let me start again. All right. Going downhill. When so now I'm in a too low gear. I will shift, and so I went from okay, now downshifting, you can see on the screen maybe, and now I'm in first gear, which is what I need to go uphill now. Excellent. So let me pause this technical part. Excellent. And go uphill. So, all right. What I'm trying to say is that you have to shift more gears to get to the pedal frequency that you normally have on other bikes, and that will take you a little bit longer, so you have to anticipate a bit more. When you're shifting, you might not hear the shifter work because you have wind over your ears or there's other noises around. For that you have to look down, which is a little bit a disadvantage because you want to be looking ahead, especially if you're transitioning from a downhill to an uphill and it's technical. You really want to be planning your path ahead, not looking down on your gears. Okay, so right there, the advantage with this system, however, is that if you're going downhill and you have some speed, you can stop pedaling, you can shift, and then when you start, the gear is already engaged. If right now, like now, you have a too low gear, you could stop pedaling and shift, but then you would lose speed, and when you shift, you are again in the wrong gear because you lost speed. So what I advise to do is to accelerate a bit, shift, and pause and pedal again. Accelerate, pause pedaling, shift, pedal again. And when you pedal again, be gentle, because you don't want to be pressing on those pedals aggressively to avoid putting extra strain on your gearbox. Here we go. Because really the idea is to make the Rohloff last a lifetime. It is a system that is fully protected from the elements, from rock strikes, from hitting branches, and it is encased, protected from mud, dust, all sorts of contamination, and it requires very little maintenance. Combined with a carbon belt especially, you don't have to remove all the mud from the gates. You don't have to lubricate the gates carbon belt. It is just fantastic. You ride, you maybe rinse it with water quickly, put it somewhere to dry, or not even necessary if you don't have time or the place. Just leave it dirty, and the next day you will have a bike that is fully ready to ride again. You don't have to put it on a stand, you don't have to spin the wheels, apply some water, apply some lubricant removal, re-lubricate, go into the details of the cogs, remove the mud between them. None of that is necessary with this bike. It's the big advantage. The disadvantage is that you will have to learn a new skill. You have to be careful because you want this system to last a lifetime. Whereas a cassette, you can eventually buy a new one Alright, so deer, I didn't anticipate. I was in a too high gear, so I lost my speed. I should have memorized what kind of gear was engaged. This is part of learning the new skill. Always be aware where approximately you are on your gears. At least have an idea if you're on the top third, the middle third, or the bottom third, so that you know how to change gears. And after riding 5 times 140 kilometers, I have taken the habit of shifting 2 gears at a time by pressing twice on the button. Which brings me to talk about the buttons on the electronic shifter on my right hand. They are made of rubber. You can feel the rubber if your finger is bare, but if you're wearing a glove, it's very difficult. This is a disadvantage because you want to have a positive gear shifting. You don't want to be guessing, did it shift or not shift, and you don't want to be looking down all the time at your gears on the kiosk. So in that aspect, this is a very pretty and compact system, but is not adapted to mountain biking. I would much have a system with paddles and with triggers, so that you could shift up, or let me say, actually shift down with the thumb and shift up with the index, and even with gloves to be able to feel for it, in the sense that you would really feel a detent and a click, 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 click. So this shifter is perfectible in my opinion. And if Rohloff is serious about conquering Moyen.
Das sind 100er Weg.
Okay. Moyen. Salut, salut. If Rohloff is serious about conquering the mountain bike world, then it should supply an option of shifters. This one is great for city riding and cross country, but it's not adapted to mountain bike environment where you have to shift constantly up and down, and you want to positively have a feel for it and a feedback, sensory feedback. Right. Then let's talk about the longevity of the product. The system consists of the Rohloff gear hub that I've mentioned before is exposed to the vibrations. It consists of the electronic shifter. Mayan, merci. The electronic shifter has to last as long or so long as the hub itself and the electronic shifter. And between them there are cables and power sources from the battery. So I'm wondering in the long run which of these components will start be problematic first. I can imagine the little motor in the electronic shifter in the back to start being slow, getting jammed, or not shifting the right distance, and so engaging the wrong gear or a partial gear, and then making the system crack. I can imagine the thumb shifter buttons to become worn out. The rubber starts to get loose, and the buttons themselves, they don't make the contact as they should, and many things like that. So only the time will tell. And in this application of mountain biking, it will be extremely solicited. Not only the shocks on the hub itself, but also the continuous shifting. Right. Okay. I have talked about roadside repairs. There's no point in returning to that. Let's talk about issues that I've encountered while riding. One of them was the electronic automatic downshifting. That problem is solved. The other problem is, have any gears jumped? Yes, I've had a couple of times a gear making a glonk sound, which is not very reassuring. I was actually here in this section of the trail. I had engaged the gear positively. I reapplied pedaling, and then half a crank turn later, I heard a metal glonk, and I could feel the pedal slightly moving down. It's a metal clank, so it's very distinct from a rock impacting the frame or a branch. So that is a bad sign for the longevity of this bike, of this geared hub. I do want to add as many kilometers as possible while it's under warranty, and if it is having problems, then you'll have to drop the bike altogether at the shop. You will not have a replacement unit for sure, and wait until they have figured out or repaired it. Good. So what else would I like to say about the Rohloff E-14 electronic shifting system? Oh yeah. I guess I pretty much covered it. Now I will proceed with my ride to do a range test using exclusively tour mode. So I have loaded the battery to 100%, and now, as far as I can tell, it's already down to 90. Oh, that's not good. 90%. So I lost 10% to cover 6 kilometers. That's not nice. Today is a rather cold autumn day, and the temperature does have an effect on the range. So what other factors influence the range? The terrain influences. If it's flat and it's a road, it's easy. If it's hilly and muddy, it's not so easy, so you'll spend more electricity covering the same distance. Your weight and the weight of the bike has an impact. The temperature of the day has an impact, because temperature has an influence on the internal resistance of the battery. It increases the internal resistance, so the battery wastes energy trying to supply energy due to this internal resistance, due to the cold. What else influences? In fact, if you want to have a clear idea, there's a range calculator that Bosch provides on their webpage, which takes into account exactly all these parameters and provides you with a quite accurate range predictor. I have tested on the Cube and compared it with what they have on the website, and I can say it's correct. So I did not go there today before the ride. Last time I rode this bike, I was surprised how quickly the battery depleted. I did was it 46 kilometer ride, and these conditions, same route. I did use at certain moments sport mode and turbo mode, and today I'm doing my best to ride on tour mode exclusively. There might be a couple of short climbs where I will ask for more assistance. Otherwise it will be tour mode. And tour mode is one of my favorite modes because it has enough support, 140%. So the way I read 140% is whatever you input on the bike, it will assist you up to 140% on top of your power input. Let's see. And when you change down from tour mode to eco mode, you can feel a very large difference. I think eco mode assists you to 60%. I do feel that tour mode is a good combination, or the good balance of assistance and range, and also personal effort. If you're continuously riding with more assistance, such as sport or turbo, yeah, you will not do much sport. The bike really is carrying you. Turbo mode goes up to 340% assistance. I use it from time to time for steep climbs where if I don't have sufficient assistance, I might lose momentum and stall, lose grip, and without the momentum I will just stop in the middle of the climb. Otherwise, I roll with tour mode most of the time. Another thing that happens when you're using sport mode or turbo mode is that on terrain like this, it will assist you quickly to 25-26 kilometers per hour and then stops assisting you. So what's the point? Might as well use your own power combined with the tour mode and get to that limit speed a little bit slower, if one can say that. Right, so now I have 88% and I've covered 9 kilometers. One thing I must do is to switch off the camera, because it might take me over 2 hours to do this range test, and if I leave the camera on constantly, I will not have sufficient battery to record the essential part, which is the end, the conclusion. And so I am going to say talk to you guys later, and I'll keep you posted at as I progress, and I'll let you know what I observe. Cheers. So, good trip so far. I covered almost 33 kilometers, and let's have a look how much battery I have remaining. Oh yeah. Perfect. So, I don't have my eyeglasses on me. Looks like 50%. So, quick summary: covered 50 kilometers, have 25% battery remaining, and the battery indication turned orange. All right, keep it carrying on. I think I will be able to make 60 to 65 kilometers in today's conditions. Cheers! So, quick update. I've covered almost 55 kilometers and have 18% battery remaining. So, carrying on. Cheers! So, quick recap. I have 18% battery remaining, covered 56.8 kilometers and almost 3 hours. So I guess that concludes today's endurance test with the tour mode on the Riese Müller Delite mountain Rohloff. Cheers!